Yeah, he's down. I know you're somewhere close to the Tampa area or the Tampa Bay area down there.
No,
which is.
No, I'm in Fort Myers. I'm in about 12
hours. I love Fort Myers. That's a great area. I used to go down there and work all the time. Even better, even a little quieter.
Great little city. Yeah, people are great. It's a great place.
When did you leave the city, Steve?
I moved down here in September last year, so been down here for a bit. But it was a little tough. It was a logistical nightmare because I was still filming during the move, and it was nuts. It was just crazy.
Nice.
Wow.
And
yeah,
Steve,
but
you're actually a detective, right? At one time, or still
retired NYPD detective.
Long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. How much schooling did you have to do to obtain that kind of career?
Schooling? School of the streets of Brooklyn. That's the schooling I went to. It's changed now. I mean, they want these new guys to be college educated, which I think is bullshit. Because most college grads couldn't find their ass with a map in their back pocket. But
I agree.
It's what it is.
I agree. I think one of the biggest problems that this country is facing right now is that our government is trying to push everybody to go to college and go on to these careers. Now the problem with that is it's a good thing, believe me. I'd love to see people go to school. However, we're getting overpopulated with specific fields. Employees and not enough jobs. So, I mean, you take something like a cop. There's only so many cop jobs that are out there that you're going to be able to get educated for. You got 1 million people going to school to learn how to be a cop, but there's only 1,000 jobs out there.
First of all, that whole
people work at McDonald's.
Yeah, the whole nonsense of learning how to be a cop in the classroom is bullshit. That's not how it works. I talk to people all the time on Facebook. They're like, "Oh, I want to be a homicide detective. I want to be a crime scene person." Well, you got to walk a foot post for about 5 years, then work your way into a radio car, then work your way into plainclothes and tonight. You think you just wake up and you're going to be a homicide detective? That's not how it works.
It doesn't work that way. I know. You got to climb the ladder for one, and for two, it's better off if you know the area that you're working at and know the people that's in that area. Going to school is not going to teach you that, in my honest opinion. You literally got to know the psychological state of the people inhabiting that particular town that you're patrolling or whatever the hell it is you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's TV doesn't help either. I mean, the crap they put on, these crime scene these shows they got on. People think you get a fingerprint off an eyeball. I mean, that stuff don't matter. It's a lot of nonsense.
I'm sure you can agree that when it comes to TV production companies are a bunch of fucking fools, and they're going to do whatever they can to ensure that they have a product that people are going to watch, because they're looking at a nice big fat ass fucking paycheck in their fucking wallets.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, for them, that is really what it's all about. And, it's a shame. I'm all for everybody going to school. I think kids need an education, but and I have a daughter, I'd like her to go to school, but you want to know, it is sad because even, I had so many of these kids working for me that, were out of school. I mean, I had girls with master's degrees working for me, behind the counter. I was a cosmetics manager for Bloomingdale's. I had girls selling perfume working behind the counter that, went to school for 9 years to get a master's degree in, all kinds of things. And, that's kind of sad. I was paying them, $10, $11, $12 an hour, to sell perfume because they can't get a job. They can't get a job.
No, it's sad. I mean, I was very lucky.
Yeah, it is.
I got a GED and I was still able to get a city job. But, that's a different time. You thought 30 years ago. I mean, things are different today. I mean, today, 30 years ago, if you had a 2-year degree, you were okay. Then you needed a 4-year degree. Now, without a master's, you're screwed.
You can't do nothing.
They have to. They have to have a master's now, yeah.
And the government keeps pushing everybody to go to school and coming up with these regulations where, education's always going to prevail over the person that doesn't have the education. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I prefer to have a doctor cutting me open that's been doing it for 20 years. I don't care if you just have a high school diploma. as opposed to someone fresh out of college. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I went to school. I have a bachelor's degree, but I didn't need a master's degree. Back then, I'm of a certain age, and back then we didn't need a master's degree, and I got far. I worked my way up the corporate ladder. We didn't need a master's degree back then, to do what we wanted to do. But it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's all It's apparently nobody heard us introduce the guest tonight, so. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have Steve. How the hell do you pronounce your last name, Steve?
That's Deshavi.
Deshavi. Steve Deshavi. That's what we have on the line.
I said it right.
I'm not good with pronunciation. I'm not good with
From
a lot
the Dead
things,
Files. From the Dead Files.
Yeah, from the Dead Files. I know the Dead Files, and I know who's a part of it, and so forth and so on, and I know Steve's a part of it, and so forth. But I was never big on watching too much of the TV shows. I stopped watching like 8 years ago. Because quite frankly,
I love the Dead Files.
It was one of the better shows, I'm not going to lie. But about 8 years ago, all the shows started to become a lot more commercial than what the hell they really needed to be.
Oh, yeah.
So I it strayed me away.
Yeah. I like it because it's different. They have a whole different approach to the way that they do the show.
That's what I like about Dead Files.
I really like the Dead Files because it's a whole different spin. It's not really the same approach, and so it is entertaining and fun to watch because it's different. I like that Steve never really has any interaction at all with the scene until really the reveal. I like that whole thing about the way that Steve does all of the research and all the interviewing, and then he connects at the very end, really, with Amy's client at the reveal. So I like that approach. It's something completely different. Nobody else does it that way. It's really interesting.
Yeah, there's no other show on TV that's like ours. I mean, I wouldn't have did it if it was going to be a regular. I wanted nothing to do with paranormal investigating because that's not what I do.
Right.
Obviously, I'm interested in it, or else I wouldn't be on the show.
Right.
But it's I'm not interested in paranormal investigating as much as I'm interested in the big picture.
The historical factor and digging up the more research as opposed to going out there with the cameras and recorders and so forth and so on.
Yeah, I mean, Amy's all about that stuff. She's interested in there's certain aspects of an investigation to use it, but I mean, why would I need that? Why would she? She actually talks to dead people. What the frig am I going to do with is there a ghost in here? She's seeing the goddamn ghost. So what difference does it make if you have a meter telling you there's one in there? People always say, why don't you use these machines?
That's one of the biggest controversies when it comes to paranormal investigating. Personally, I when it comes to certain things, fine, having a psychic is good because it doesn't really matter. However, if you're going into a particular residential case where a lot of them want the evidence that led you to believe what's in the house as opposed to having a psychic saying, well, this is what's here. Okay, well, what's your proof? What led you to believe that? You know what I mean? A lot of people like that. And that's why it's good to try to be diverse when it comes to, what you utilize in an investigation and how you utilize it.
Right. I mean, I don't begrudge all these paranormal groups that go out there. I'm actually friends with a lot of these paranormal groups. A lot of these venues want me to come out. Yeah, a lot of these venues want me to come out and go on a ghost hunt. And it's not my thing, but I do it because it teaches me what paranormal investigators are doing out there. So when I go into a location, I say, listen, do you have any paranormal investigators here? Yeah, I did. We had 2 teams. All right, what did they do? Now, because I've been on a couple of these things, if they tell me stuff, now I can relate to it. I know what the hell that she's talking about, he's talking about. I don't like going into any case blind. Knowledge is power. So for me, the more I know about what's happening, and this is only to relate it to Amy. It has nothing to do with my curiosity. It has to be doing a thorough investigation. So.
Yeah. That's cool. So what sparked your interest in being involved with the paranormal?
I didn't have any interest in being in the paranormal. I was approached by the creator of the show if I would be interested in doing it. He had approached me about 10 years ago. Well, not 10 years ago. It is about 10 years ago. About 2006, he approached me. 9 years ago, about doing television and nothing to do with the paranormal. And we did a few pilots to try to get me on television. He had seen me on a documentary for the NYPD by ABC News, and he wanted to put me on television. So basically, I got a phone call asking me if I was interested in doing TV. So nothing panned out. All the networks said I was too New York for them. They were looking for the next dirty jobs type guy, regular, middle of the road type of person. And I was too street. They just considered me too rough around the edges. But
and I think you speak so well to people, and you come across as so sincere, and you know what I mean when you talk to them, like people.
Well, you're talking
really
about network executives. Yeah. But you're talking about network executives that can't look past. I wasn't filmed in that content. I was filmed doing investigations. So I guess they never saw that side. And that's understandable. I mean, if you saw me on the street and saw me on the show, it's two different guys. I talk to clients on our show like crime victims, the perpetrator being the paranormal. So the way I would talk to a victim on the street is how I talk to my clients. Now, how I talk to a living perpetrator is a totally different ballgame. Then you're going to see a different side of me. But that doesn't come up in the that won't come up in the show too often. Not at all, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, that side of me is never going to come up. Unless somebody pisses me off, which for the most part. Yeah, for the most part,
because you're kind of so sympathetic. Yeah.
Well, you got to be. I mean, that was the only way to get victims on the street. I mean, you're talking about over 20 years of experience in doing that. So just because they're victims of the paranormal doesn't change the fact that they're victims. You feel, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, that's so true. They're upset.
At any time while you were doing the show and being in some of these more notorious places of, that's desired by many to go investigate, have you yourself ever had any kind of weird experience speaking in it, whether it may or may not have been paranormal, just something that, you really didn't have an opportunity to try to check into?
No, not a thing. As a matter of fact, it's strange because I would wonder why myself, spending so much time in these places that are haunted, why I wouldn't be affected somehow.
That is really interesting.
Well, I was told by not one, not two, but 5 different mediums that I'm a diffuser. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. It was explained to me. I was up in Ocala, and it was really explained to me. It's not that I'm a bad guy or I'm a good guy. It's neither. It's just that when I walk into a room, if there's any paranormal there, it leaves. So, and they don't know why. But when we were doing that,
this is what I think. I think it's I think what they did, in my honest opinion, is basically beginner rookie cop profiling. I mean, we got to face it. You're a detective in some way, or we're a detective or still are a detective. You've been trained to check things out. You've been trained to tune out most of your crap. Needless to say, your psychological state isn't going to be opening to paying attention to paranormal stuff when you're looking at more physical evidence than anything.
That's 110% right. I mean, people say to me, don't you? I said, I'm not worried about the paranormal when I go into these places. I'm talking to the victim. I look at the house or the location or the restaurant, whatever the hell we're doing, the movie theater or whatever the case may be, the venue. I look at it as a crime scene. I don't look at it to catch a spook in the corner, or a shadow going across a room. I want to see what the hell, first of all, I'm in there trying to see if they're full of it. Because, they're telling me I see something here, but I saw it from this room, and I saw it on this wall, and then I put myself in that position. I'm like, well, how the hell can you possibly see this? If you're at an angle that you couldn't have seen it.
You're the ultimate skeptic.
Why I look at it.
Yeah. You're the ultimate skeptic. You really are. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, what it is. I'm not a skeptic of the paranormal or Amy. I mean, I'm 110% Amy.
No. Yeah, that's not what I meant.
I am a skeptic of people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because